We talk a lot about how narcissists are controlling and narcissists have to control other people. But what exactly does this look like? How do narcissists do this? And what is it that they do to control other people? If you are being controlled by a narcissist in your life, you might not even realize it. So in today's video, I'm going to break down specifically what it means to have a narcissist trying to control everything about you, what it looks like, and things to look out for. Welcome to Looking Behind the Mirror, where we explore narcissism and take our lives back as we make sense out of nonsense. As a quick disclaimer, everything I say is based on my opinions and my personal experiences. I'm not a professional, and if you're really struggling, I encourage you to seek professional help. I am providing links below for you. The first thing I want to address in this video is that all of us can tend to try to control other people. Narcissists are not the only people that are trying to control others. It's never a healthy thing to do, but narcissists take it to a whole new level. But I just want to make that clear. We can all be guilty of this, and it can be really helpful in your own growth to see how you might be trying to do this to other people. You might be trying to control things that you can't control. But what's the difference here? Why is the control that narcissists try to have over other people so problematic? Why is it so much worse than what probably all of us have done at some point in our lives? Let me start with the worst case of somebody that's not a narcissist but is maybe codependent. Somebody who is codependent that is trying to control other people is usually trying to control people just to be a decent person, or to do the bare minimum, or to follow through on responsibilities they have, or to stop hurting them. So a codependent might be just trying to control somebody in a way that stops affecting their life in a negative way. So codependents usually have reasonable expectations of people, but they're trying to control somebody into doing things that that person is just not capable or willing to do. And some codependents, I think, are very narcissistic, but I think that there is a place where we can draw a hard line between the ways that a narcissistic person tries to control others and the ways that somebody who's not narcissistic is trying to control others. And that is in fear and shame. Narcissists use fear and shame to control other people. Narcissists intimidate other people into changing, and narcissists make other people feel like they're a bad person if they don't do what the narcissist wants them to do. Or more specifically, that they are not worthy of love, that they are not acceptable. A non-narcissistic person that is trying to control other people is usually trying to get their needs met, trying to get reasonable needs met through somebody that's not able or willing to do that. Whereas a narcissist is doing the same thing, but a narcissist's needs are impossible to meet, completely unreasonable, extremely selfish, and things that are going to damage the person that they're trying to control. So narcissists control people just to control people, just for the sake of controlling other people. They aren't trying to necessarily solve a problem, whereas a non-narcissistic person that's trying to control others is probably trying to solve a problem, but in an unhealthy way. Narcissists are just trying to control other people for the sake of controlling them. And narcissists are willing to damage people, to hurt people in order to try to force that person to meet their needs, which is an impossible thing to do. So this is just a vicious cycle that never ends. And no matter how hard the person they're trying to control tries to meet their needs, tries to make them happy, that's something that's never ever going to happen. And I think most codependents or non-narcissistic people that are trying to control others they don't want to hurt that person. I think they have good intentions most of the time. And I want to make it clear, trying to control other people is never a good idea. It's not okay to do that if you have good intentions, but it's, in my opinion, very, very different. Here's an analogy I came up with. I think somebody that's trying to control others into doing things that is just not going to happen would be like somebody standing at a vending machine putting coins into the vending machine to try to buy a soda, but a soda just never comes out of the machine. And so they just keep putting coins in and pushing the buttons, and then nothing comes out. And then they just keep doing it over and over. And they never seem to accept the fact that even though it's perfectly reasonable for them to expect a soda to come out, even though they've paid for it and they deserve a soda because they've done what they're supposed to do in order to get a soda is not coming out of this machine. But they stand there and they continue to try to get this machine to give them a soda. Well, a narcissist will go up to a machine, not bother putting the money in the first place, and just get like some kind of crowbar or an axe to just bust the machine open, take all the soda out of the machine, and then sit and cry and complain that there's not enough soda in the machine. So yeah, both of these habits are not healthy, but they're very different from each other. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about what a narcissist is trying to control typically with other people, some things that you might want to look out for in your own life. But really, this list is endless. Narcissists could be trying to control anything in somebody's life. They might be trying to control what you eat for breakfast, how much you eat, what brand of laundry detergent you use, how warm your shower is, how long your shower is, what the material in the towel that you use after your shower is made out of, what brand of toothpaste you use, how fast you drive in your car, how slow you drive in your car, what kind of car you have, what kind of music you listen to, what you wear, the way that you wear your clothes, how you talk, who your friends are, what your life goals are, what school you want to go to or don't want to go to, what kind of job you want to have, whether or not you want to quit your job or look for a new job or stay at your job, what your religious beliefs are, how you express those religious beliefs, what your political views are and how you express those, how long you spend watching TV, what you watch on TV, what color the paint is in your house, what kind of furniture you have, where the furniture's placed, what you eat for dinner, what kind of house you live in, where you live, what kind of neighborhood you live in. I mean, the list is endless. Narcissists will try to control things that don't seem to even matter. And they will double down on these things, and they will act like the whole world depends on how often you change the oil in your car. And I want to take this opportunity to illustrate the difference between somebody who's not a narcissist and somebody who is, being fixated on something that doesn't seem to matter. A non-narcissistic person might try to control something that seems silly to you. Maybe they're really hung up on what kind of laundry detergent you like to use for whatever reason. And maybe this is just really important to them and it might seem really silly to you. But a narcissist that is hung up on what kind of laundry detergent you use will act like something is fundamentally wrong with you. Like your preference or lack of preference of laundry detergent makes you a bad person, makes you hard to love, makes you stupid. Whereas somebody that just honestly has a really strong preference for a certain kind of laundry detergent isn't going to project that onto your self-worth. They might just insist, hey, this is really important to me that we use this kind of laundry detergent, but they're not going to make you feel like you don't deserve to be loved or recognized as a human being if you don't agree with them and also view this laundry detergent as your favorite. I mean, in this kind of situation, a narcissist isn't only going to vilify you and make you feel like a horrible person for not using their favorite laundry detergent, but they're going to make you feel this way if you don't agree with them and say, yes, this is also my favorite laundry detergent. Agreeing to use their favorite laundry detergent isn't enough. You have to also agree with their viewpoint and also agree that it's also your favorite, or they will treat you like you're a terribly flawed, stupid, horrible person. So now I'm going to talk about how they do this. How do narcissists control other people? What tactics do they use to get people to do what they want? As I've already said, they use fear and shame to control other people. There is almost always a power imbalance. And in an abusive relationship, there is a power imbalance. One person has control of the other person through fear and shame, and this requires a power imbalance in which the person with more power either has some sort of emotional control, or maybe they financially control that person, or there could be any way that the person with control is able to use that power imbalance that they have to control the other person through fear and through shame. So this can be done through all kinds of threats, threats of abandonment, threats of emotional abandonment. You might just be afraid of what's going to happen if you don't do what the narcissist wants. Or you might be afraid that the narcissist won't love you anymore and is going to leave you, abandon you if you don't do what they want. I was in a relationship a very long time ago. It was quite a significant one, where in the beginning of the relationship, I was told that if I didn't learn to cook and learn to cook very well, that this person didn't want to be in a relationship with me. For some reason at the time that seemed reasonable to me. And I did learn how to cook. So it's nice now I know how to cook, and now I can cook for people that actually really enjoy it and appreciate it and don't feel entitled to it and don't expect that I cook for them, but they just like it. But at the time, this was something that I felt I had to do. This was a part of me I felt I had to change, or else this person would abandon me. I mean, he basically told me that. And this took a lot of time and effort. Maybe this was time and effort that I would have chosen to use in some other way, but this was a way that I was controlled through the fear of the threat of abandonment. And also, he did this in a way that made me feel like I was a bad person because I didn't already know how to be a really good cook. So it was like, wow, what's wrong with you that you don't know how to cook? You need to fix that about yourself, or you're not worthy of being in this relationship with me. You're not worthy of my love if you don't know how to cook. And these threats that can control us through fear and shame can escalate into all kinds of things like actual physical violence. Maybe we're doing what the narcissist wants because we're actually afraid of physical violence, or we're afraid of emotional violence. We're afraid of outbursts. We're afraid of this person throwing a tantrum if we don't do all these things that they want us to do in the way that they want us to do them, or if we don't keep our mouths shut about certain things, or if we don't say certain things in a certain way because we're afraid of outbursts. We're afraid of what the narcissist is going to do. We're walking on eggshells, and we're actually trying to predict and control this person's behavior, which is an example of what I talked about earlier, of trying to control somebody's behavior in a way that seems reasonable because all you expect is just the bare minimum of decent behavior, but it's still an ineffective, unhealthy way of trying to control another person. But this is a trap that we can get stuck in when we're in a narcissistic relationship. Another way that narcissists can exert control is to put us in a type of trap where we're trying to prove ourselves. So maybe the narcissist has accused us of being lazy. So we work really hard and we do all the things they want because we don't want them to think we're lazy. Or maybe they've accused us of not caring. You don't even care about me. So we do all these things that they want in the way they want to prove that we do care. And the list of things that we might be trying to prove is endless. They could be telling us, you never listen to me, or you're chicken, you don't have the guts to do what's best for us. This can give them a lot of leverage to convince us to do a lot of things that we wouldn't necessarily want to do. They can also control us through the threat of humiliation. They can say things like, wow, I can't believe you just said that, or I can't believe you're doing that. Wait until I tell my friends about this, or wait until I tell my sister what you just said. This can be a way that they can control your reaction to their abusive behavior. Maybe you're trying to stand up for yourself, or you're trying to set a boundary, and they take whatever you've done or said out of context and they show it to somebody else, or they explain it to somebody else without the backstory. This can be really frightening. And again, this is a way that you might be trapped trying to control their behavior, trying to get them to just act like a decent person. But narcissists exploit this part of you by scaring you with threats of all kinds of things, including humiliation, and you get trapped in this place of doing what they want to try to control their behavior when you don't really have any control over that. So maybe they did something to get their car taken away. They lost their car for some reason, and you have a car, and they expect you to let them borrow your car when you need your car for something, right? And maybe you try to set a boundary and you say, no, I need my car. You're going to have to figure this out on your own. And so They might tell other people that you're unsupportive, that you don't care about them, that you want them to have to walk out in the cold and ice and snow or the blazing heat, and just take this out of context. So out of fear, out of trying to control them, trying to control the way that they're talking about you behind your back, you might let them borrow your car because you don't want to be smeared or humiliated to other people. And again, this is a way that you can be trying to control things that you can't control. And I can't talk about ways that narcissists will try to control you without mentioning their threats of self-harm or their threats of relapse if they have any kind of issues with substance abuse. They can pin this on you when this is absolutely not your responsibility and not something that you can control. If somebody is struggling with dependence on certain substances and they're trying to blame you for a relapse or a possible relapse, they are not in a frame of mind where they're actually going to be ready to recover anyway. And if somebody is intending on harming themselves, again, that's really not something you can control. And it's certainly not something that you can control by allowing them to harm you or control your life in a damaging way. You are not responsible for the welfare of somebody who has abused you and hurt you and damaged your life in some way. You're not responsible for their welfare or their ability to take care of themselves, and you don't really have any control over that anyway. For the last part of this video, I want to talk about why people put up with this. How do narcissists convince others to go along with this and to live under these kind of circumstances? How do narcissists make their ridiculous expectations seem reasonable to normal people? The first way they do this is they just say that they care. I care. I just care so much about you. I don't want you to wear that out in public. I wouldn't ever want to let you embarrass yourself by wearing that because I care about you. Of course, I'm going to tell you this terrible thing that my sister didn't really say to me about you because I care about you and I think you deserve to hear this. I care about how the house looks. That's why I want to make sure that you're cleaning it right. I care about the laundry and whether or not there's allergens in it because I care about our health, and that's why I want to make sure that you use the right laundry detergent. I had a different relationship with somebody who was harassing me endlessly to call the police because there was a car parked around the corner of the complex that I lived in. And it was really, really close to my front door in the location it was parked in. And it was just somebody had left a car there that they obviously weren't using, and they left it there for a few months. And I mean, yeah, some people would be really concerned and annoyed by that. But for me personally, I had a lot going on and I just really did not care. And this narcissistic person that I was involved with didn't live there. This did not affect him in any way. But every time I saw him, well, maybe not every time, but this went on for months where he would ask me, did you call the police? Did you call the police about that car? And then he would start yelling at me and getting enraged if I hadn't done this. So this became like this weird thing. Like, why does he care so much about something that has no effect on his life whatsoever? And it's not bothering me, and I don't want to go to the trouble of calling the police over this car that's not actually bothering me. And he told me once that he was concerned that if this car stayed out there, that it would attract burglars or something. So he was afraid that I was going to get robbed if I didn't call the police to get rid of this car. So he's making my life miserable, harassing me, yelling and screaming at me over something I don't really care about, because he cares about me. So how can you argue with that? How can you argue with somebody that just cares so much about you and your relationship and the house you live in? And how can you argue with somebody that is trying to control you because they care so much? Another way that narcissists might make this seem reasonable is by saying that you hurt them. You hurt me so much when you use the wrong laundry detergent, or it really hurts my feelings that you don't wash your car enough. If we're an empathetic person, we don't want to invalidate and minimize the feelings of somebody else if what we're doing is really hurting them. So narcissists will just whip this out and pretend to feel so hurt over things that don't even make any sense. And that might make it seem reasonable to us, like, oh, well, of course I'm gonna wash my car more often if having a dirty car is actually hurting this person's feelings for some reason. I mean, it's the least I can do. Narcissists are also really good at making you feel like you're the one in the wrong. You're the one that made them mad, and they can do this just by getting really angry. If you believe that this is a reasonable person that loves you and cares about you, and they are flipping out over something, it's easier for us to assume that they must have a good reason to be angry than to face the horrifying reality that we're with somebody who has a very, very serious emotional problem and is getting angry over nothing. So we can turn this back on ourselves and assume, well, I must have done something terrible. This must be something that I just don't have good judgment for. So they must be right. So I better do what they're saying, because not doing it is making them really angry. So there must be something about this that I don't understand. And this is another way that they can control us and make it seem reasonable, is by making us doubt our own judgment. Going back to the example of learning how to cook, if I cooked something and I thought it tasted really good, but this person that wanted me to be an awesome cook tastes it and says, no, this is really bland, this is terrible, I'm going to doubt my own judgment, because obviously I don't know what something that tastes good tastes like. I don't even know what good cooking tastes like. So I can't trust my own judgment. So I have to allow this person's judgment to trump my own, which is a huge way of giving up control. One more way that narcissists make this seem reasonable is they convince you that they know better and they're trying to help you. So, wow, I can't believe the way that you're cutting that onion up. Here, let me show you how to do it in a much easier, better way. And, 9 times out of 10, the way they want to do it is basically the same thing. But it's really hard to confront somebody or to get mad at someone who's trying to help you do things in a better way. Here, let me help you. I know how to do this better than you do. It's hard to get angry at that unless it's the 5 millionth time that they've interrupted something that you're just trying to get done by telling you that they know a better way to do it. And then, of course, when you finally lose your temper and tell them to leave you alone and let you cut the onion your own way, then it's like, wow, I'm just trying to help you. And then they might go tell their sister about how controlling you are. So what do you do if you're in this kind of situation? I think one of the most helpful things is to recognize it and to let go of your need to control other people. And that's really easy to say. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of self-awareness and a lot of really hard honesty with yourself of what you're trying to do and ways that you're trying to control people in ways that they can't be controlled. So basically, if you're in this kind of relationship, if you're in this kind of situation, it's very helpful to accept that you're with someone who is completely unreasonable. You're with someone who's never going to be happy with all of the things you're trying to do for them. And every time you give in to their need to control you and you change your habits or your preferences or whatever it is that they're trying to change about you, you're doing so for no good reason, with no reward. There's no end to it. There's always going to be more and more and more things that they're going to try to control about you, and nothing is ever going to satisfy this endless need they have, this bottomless pit that can never be filled. Accepting that there's nothing you can do to fix this is a huge step in pulling yourself away from it and recovering from it. Accepting that this person's never going to be reasonable and you can't control that. There's no amount of capitulation that you can do. There's nothing that you can give into that's going to finally satisfy this endless need they have to constantly criticize you, shame you, threaten you, and scare you. So when you stop trying to force somebody who isn't reasonable into being reasonable, you really take a lot of your own power back, a lot of your own control. So when the narcissist criticizes you for the kind of laundry detergent that you're using, instead of freaking out on the inside and trying to chase this worthiness of being loved by them by changing the kind of laundry detergent you use, you instead can accept that this person's unreasonable, that the laundry detergent is just a projection, it doesn't really have anything to do with anything, and that changing the laundry detergent is not going to fix anything, and it's not going to suddenly make you more worthy of love, because you were already worthy of love with the detergent you were already using. If somebody is treating you like garbage and trying to control things about you that don't really affect them and trying to change you at all, it isn't your job and it isn't within your control to turn them into a decent person. I hope this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below any ideas you have for me for future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and you would like to see more like it in the future. Until next time, thanks. Bye.